Okay, here are the materials we're going to be using. There won't be a whole bunch of them for the first part. It's just some polymer clay from Sculpey, the studio variety. So what I've done is I've stretched out a piece of clay here, rolled it out, and I'm going to start carving in the wood grain. So this is going to be, if I was going to make one piece, this is sort of what it would look like here. But the plan is to create a big sheet of this and then fill that sheet with resin so that it creates a negative, and that negative will become our stamp. So what I'm doing here is I'm just randomly putting in some lines to represent the grain of the wood, and I think this process took me maybe 4 or 5 minutes when it was all said and done. I wanted to get a sheet that was about 2 inches by 2.5 inches in size. So as we go through this, you just want to make it look as natural as possible. You don't want it to be straight lines, of course, because if you take a look at the variations that you see in the different wood grains, there's quite a wide range of patterns. They're generally very wavy. So I put most of them are straight lines all the way to the top and the bottom. I stopped halfway, and some of them had some split off, put some knots in there. So once we were done with that, that's what you see right here. Is I've laid it down on my sheet here. So I've also created on the 3D printer just a 2 by 2.5 border that I wanted to use. And this is going to be used as sort of the mold walls whenever I put this together. So the area inside the mold walls is going to be the stamp part when it's all said and done. So what I want to do next is I want to take a full sampling of the sheet that I made. We're going to have some extra. So I put our mold wall down, and I am now scoring and cutting off the extra portions for this, which obviously can be reused later, because if it's outside the 2 inch by 2.5 inch, we're not going to be using it for this. So I've baked that off already. Now you can see what we have. So if you were just making one panel and you wanted this, yeah, you could use this. That would be great. But my thought was, because I'm going to be doing a lot of timbers and sheets for the project, the cottage project that I mentioned in the previous video, I wanted to have something that you could easily replicate it. So again, if it took me 5 minutes to create the original, if I wanted to make 15 of these, the math is, it's a couple hours worth of work. When we're done with this little project here, what we'll be able to do is make as many as we want. So I've set the walls around it, and the next part is going to be to take this and actually pour our resin inside. So the resin that I use is ultra thin. It's almost of a water viscosity. So what I need to do is to build a little clay barrier around the entire piece here, because even though it's pretty tight there probably is going to be some stuff that flows through there, and I don't want to lose my resin pouring down through there along the side of the walls and pouring out onto the table. That would defeat the purpose. So I've got the resin reservoir set up to keep it in there, and I went ahead and poured it, and you can see the white cured resin right there. So now once we peel this apart and take a look at what we have, we do see that there has been a little bit of leakage down through there, but that's not a problem with this at all. So what I need to do is pull the barrier off, and after a few aborted attempts at pulling it off without actually cutting it, I figured might as well just go ahead and cut it. I'm done with it anyways here. So get this guy cut off and stripped out, and we can see what we have left. So what we have left now is we have our film. This would be the actual negative that we've made. So the raised areas there are the wood grains that you would expect to see going into our clay pieces. So what we're going to be doing is, whenever we're ready to use it, we're going to be pressing this down, pushing the negative down into a fresh sheet of clay, and that fresh sheet of clay is going to become our new positive, and we can use this over and over and over again. Now that we have our stamp created, let's go ahead and give it a try here. So what I'm doing now is taking some new polymer clay, and I am going to roll it out. And what I generally do is use 2 little stir sticks. I'll use those for stirring resin and RTV rubbers and stuff if I'm using that material as well. But this works well to keep a uniform depth of the clay. So I've rolled it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and press our newly formed mold into it. And as I peel it back, you can see what we have left. We have the negative of the mold has created a positive for us. It created an exact image of our original. So this is a lot easier to use than, hand tracing all those grain lines out one at a time. So what I've done is I've moved it onto a piece of glass, which I like to work from, because the glass I can just move right to the oven to cure the clay. So first cut I'll make is just a normal standard sized board that you may or may not need. And then we have plenty of additional material. Let's say I wanted to make a slightly wider board of roughly the same length. We can cut that one out like that. And let's say I didn't need it quite that wide. I wanted to make a little smaller section of the board. So it's just as easy as cutting it. And that goes obviously with lengths as well as the width. So it's a real neat way to mass produce these timbers. I'll separate that timber so you can see a little better. And this is ready to be fired up. Okay, so once they are out of the oven, you can use them in projects, your own projects, like this one here. This is my cottage project that I've been talking to you about, a modular cottage project. We're going to be going over this in greater detail in the upcoming videos, but I used it on all of the timbers for this, and I think they really came out looking pretty sharp. The next video that's going to be coming out is sort of related to this as well. It's going to be a quick video on talking about how I generated the stones for this particular build. So we're going to be hitting that next. So as always, guys, thanks for watching and taking the time. And if you have any questions or comments, please post them below, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks.